Hello, happy trade deadline day. We are about 6 hours past the trade deadline. Ev and I got a lot to go over today. Ev, how you feeling today, buddy? You're a Avs fan, so you're probably in a pretty good place, ain't you?
Yeah, we got the first game with I think most of the boys are playing here tonight. But yeah, I just turned it on, and yeah, I'm a happy guy. They did some major team building and loaded up for a playoff run here. So looks like they weren't the only team in the West that were thinking the same. But
Jeez, no kidding, eh?
yeah, there's a few that did pretty good over the last couple days. But
Yeah, so we haven't prepped a lot for this. We're just going to go through all the trades, go through impacts to the teams and players, fantasy and otherwise, trades we like, trades we don't. I'm going to bitch and moan about Vegas a fair bit. But also I'm going to complain about the Oilers. I'm terribly unhappy today. I didn't even want to do this show. I'll be honest with you. I am so in the dumps. Every single team in the West loaded up, and the Oilers went out and paid a high price for a 3C. It's so aggravating.
yeah, you want to get right
I
into
don't know
the
what.
Oilers here for you?
Mm, yeah, I'll keep it short. It's really aggravating to watch teams go all in and know that we, not once in Ken Holland's tenure here, did that. The closest we did was last year with Bajugstad and Ekholm. Ekholm was a great ad, but much like this year, we did need a 3C, potentially, but it was third on the list of things we needed. First and foremost, we needed a top four right D. Second, we needed a top six right wing. 3C, I could have taken early left. And that's the one thing we got. So meanwhile, you got Vegas adding a top pairing D and a top six C and whatever you want to call Anthony Mantha on that team, whether he's a third line wing or second line wing, good depth to have in the playoffs for cheap. All these guys went for so cheap. And we gave a first for Henrique. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's for the Oilers. It's what you paid for Henrique. That's the issue. It almost seems like jump the gun early to get one of the pieces for and him and Carrick for first. But I don't understand how they didn't. Well, I guess they didn't foresee that the prices were going to be dropping for the rest of the guys out there because there wasn't a lot of prices. It was very much a buyer's market.
It was total buyer's market. In the first game Henrique played with us, he played on the wing, and we paid more for Henrique than Winnipeg did for Toffoli,
Yeah.
who would have been probably a better slot on the wing for Draisaitl. Like,
Well, it's a better risk to take. The
for sure it is.
upsides,
It's a cheaper
yeah,
risk.
cheaper. The
It's
upsides high.
more
I
upside.
don't.
It's yeah.
It's. I could see the frustration for Oiler fans because it's just like, okay, what's going on here? Did Kenny knock on every door to see what the prices for these guys were? That's why I said that they almost jumped too early on Henrique because maybe they were asking for so much that the prices just came down, and they could have just waited a little bit longer. But, I don't know.
Well, I'm going to do this off the top of my head. Here's the players who got a guaranteed first round pick this year: Elias Lindholm, Sean Monahan, Noah Hannafin, and Thomas Hurdle. Am I missing anyone? Oh, Adam
Yeah,
Henrique. Those are the only first. Gensel's a conditional first.
but that's
Um, so I just even jumping the gun, like, is Henrique the guy you go? So I've seen two arguments that are somewhat valid. One is there was like $4 million retained by Anaheim. I don't care that they retained on Carrick. Carrick is a replacement level player. And Henrique's not the guy you spend the money to get that retention on. Like, as far as I'm concerned, we should have had two firsts in play, and we should have gone after Gensel or made a trade move for Hurdle. Like, I'm sure that based on what Vegas didn't pay for Hurdle, there could have been a deal there with Campbell that would have been stomachable for us, that would have had us walking with Hurdle. If you're not going to get the top 4D, which I will admit, Calgary held the cards on D-men. Once we didn't get Tanev and you didn't get Hannafin, The only guy that was really left was Walker, who you guys got. Good for you. There wasn't necessarily a lot of top 40 available. Okay, so what's your pivot? Is it nothing? Because it feels like it was nothing. And if it was me, I would have said, okay, we can't fix the D. Let's have the best test top nine in hockey. We need two guys to do that. Let's go out and let's get the best top nine. So let's go get Gensel and let's get Hurdle, or let's get Hurdle and let's get Default. Like, make it work. The retention was coming dirt cheap this year. Jack Campbell was tradable. Based on this San Jose deal, there was a deal there for Campbell. Even if it meant sending 2 firsts and Broberg, there was a deal there to be had. And you still could have gone out and gotten to Foley. And we did none of it. We added a two-way number 3 center. I like Henrique. We paid too much. And if that's your move in the West, where all the teams went big, bleh. Now, have the Oilers been the best team in hockey since Knobloch came? Sure. Did 4 teams probably pass us in the last 3 days? Yeah, I would say so. So this being Holland's last year, this being the summer where Draisaitl can re-sign, this being how many years in a row? I think the last time you could argue we actually went all in was probably the COVID year, when we picked up Tennessee, and who else did we pick up at that deadline? We loaded up and paid, unfortunately, a lot to do it. But there were a few moves at that deadline. But like, how come we're not adding the big guys? The deadline's when you can do it. And if you're McDavid and you're Draisaitl and you're watching what Vegas is doing and what Dallas is doing and what Colorado is doing, I don't know how you look at the Oilers and say this is a place I can win a cup at this point, or a team that will actually make sure I win a cup. Because right now it seems like they're a team that's going to make sure it's going to take a miracle.
Yeah, it's frustrating. And I know you've been talking about how CC would be a great part to part ways with for this season on ice and for next season's contract. And you hear Elliott and guys saying how the team really advocates for that guy, how he's a great locker room guy and everything like that. It's like, guys, we gotta try to win here. Like,
this is how Darnell Nurse ended up with his contract.
You gotta try to win. So it's like, so you look at like I said to you today, it's the Colorado deal with Johansson and a first for Walker. So it's an identical deal with CC and a first for Walker.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are free from a contract for next year, $3.5 million off the books, and you have a better defenseman for this run here. And from what I've heard from Philly fans and LA fans, I think Walker's going to be awesome in Colorado. So I think he's going to fit right in, just with their up-tempo hockey and that. So
a lot of LA fans said that him and Roy were interchangeable before they lost Walker in that deal this summer. So if he's a Matt Roy, good for you. That's a playoff guy right there. I hate playing Matt Roy year in, year out. Yeah, it's frustrating, man.
Well, I just don't get I don't get the gun shy nature of it, especially
with prices.
The prices
last year, I get
the lowest they've ever been. Last year, we talked about Carolina, how it's like they're just like, okay, we're just not going to join this crazy give every asset you have game.
Don't keep up because we could do it next year, and they did,
and
right?
It's like, and surprisingly, like the shocking thing is like for Gensel, and maybe these guys, because they're the best players available in the UFA, that we get this inflated value for them. But Gensel's a good player. He's a playoff performer. Sure, he's been riding shotgun with a top 5 player of all time, but I'm shocked that everyone kind of like held to their horses on what they were willing to give for him, considering what we've seen in previous years with what teams are willing to pay. Like, I understand top prospects are kind of off the table until it's Vegas's top prospect, but until like a deal like Hurdle comes around at major retention. So, and Vegas just going to Vegas.
I mean, any retention on a 6-year deal is insane. And just to put away this Oilers thing, I'll just say that we gave a first for Adam Henrique, and Jack Roslovich went for a 4th. So to me, you keep that first. You go big game hunting. You move a fourth for Roslovich. He's your third line center. He'd be a great third line center. Like he's put up over a half a point per game in Columbus this year on a terrible Columbus team. So like do that. There's your third line too. How is that the guy you jumped the gun for? Adam Henrique. Well, we can't get left.
You can't
Get left in the dust here. We better make a move.
You can't tell me that you look at the team and the Oilers and just say, nah, we're not going to go for Gensel. We're going to go for Henrique. I think the prices, Dubas set the price too high, and teams just kind of backed away and made other plans. I think that's exactly what happened.
For sure. It's disgusting to me to think that we could have paid, an extra first and had Gensel instead of Henrique.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, it's like
not even an extra first. Like,
I mean, you probably did just a couple seconds after
a guaranteed first.
Well, I don't know that a first is better than the package that Carolina gave. Like those prospects were their 6, 7, 8 prospects. They're now Pittsburgh's 2, 3, 4 prospects. A first probably doesn't win you that deal, but a first and a second does.
Yeah, and they want a prospect. So first and X and Bourgeois and Petrov.
Yeah, like that gets it done. So that's terrible. Like just very bad management. It's I've been on Twitter more than is healthy for me today and yesterday, and there are a lot of people out there going, they're happy with what the Oilers did. I just I don't see it. I don't see it. It's not to say we can't win the cup. We can win the cup, but at the end of the day, Ceci and Nurse, and then our third pairing to a lesser extent, are what essentially cost us in the playoffs the last 2 years. And we're going in with the same guys. Last night we were down 3-0 to Columbus. Nurse and Ceci were -3. Like, go figure. It's right there. It's so obvious what's going on, and we've done nothing to fix it. I'm done talking about the Oilers. I don't want to do this.
Still got a good team, though.
Let's just
you still got a good
team,
trades. Though. It'll be fun playoffs.
I am not invested in the slightest right now. I don't care. I'll watch, but man, I said it today. If Vegas makes the Cup final, this will be the first time in my life that I don't watch back-to-back Cup finals.
Yeah, Vegas. They they cease to amaze us. Their ability.
They cease to amaze. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we all saw it coming yesterday, right? When they made that move for Hanifin, and it was our first this year unless we trade it to someone else. And it was like, well, taking bets on that one. Where's it going?
You wonder, what kind of incriminating evidence they have on other GMs and the league and everything like that, because it's pretty baffling that they're able to flaunt this LTIR thing in front of everyone's face and just keep doing it. And teams are willing to just keep trading with them.
McCrimmon had 2 quotes today that I thought were hilarious. The first was, Mark Stone has a ruptured spleen, and he's for sure out for the rest of the year. And we don't even know how long after the regular season. I do. He ain't missing more than 2 games of round 1. I promise you that. And I'm not a doctor, but I promise you he ain't missing that. And then his other quote was, he was asked, how are you able to do these types of moves when other teams don't? And he said, well, we pay the price.
Yeah.
What price? What price? You have existed for 5 years. You have won a cup. You are a cup favorite this year. You just stole Hurdle. This is the first deal we're going to talk about. You absolutely stole Hurdle. No idea what Mike Grier was doing in that deal. What price do you pay? Like, give me a break. I think you asked me earlier, how many teams do you think knew that Hurdle was available at $6.5 million for the next 6 years? How many teams?
For a first and
give me a break.
And a number 3 prospect in your pecking order. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Edstrom was their number 1 prospect, probably.
But
He
like
was their most recent first
in
round
most
pick.
systems, he'd be a number 3.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Well, and then to top it off, and this, I read it wrong the first time because it didn't even make sense. San Jose is sending their 2/3. Those are second round picks. They're sending 2/3 to Vegas in this
Well, when they
deal.
first
Like,
reported the
if you think about it
deal,
like this,
it was 2/3 going to San Jose.
oh, going to San Jose.
So
Okay,
I was like,
so
oh,
that
okay,
explains
so
because
like
I was like,
2/3 is
how did I
good.
miss
Like
that?
that's a good package.
That's
And when they
just,
announced it on
that's
TSN and
fine.
all the everyone on TSN just kind of had this kind of looking around and like had this look on their face, like, how did they get them to send them 2/3 on this? Like even a first and Edstrom
Well,
for the
it's
retention and all that, you'd be like, okay, all right, yeah, sure, it's ridiculous, but yeah, Vegas was gonna Vegas, and then they somehow voodoo doll them into being like, and you will send us 2/3.
well, if you think about it this way, Tampa retained 25% of, I think, Henrique for a fourth. So 6 years of retention on Thomas Hertl. Let's say it's worth a fourth per season. That's 6/4 they gave up just for the retention in this. It's like, really, the retention alone was worth a first and then some. So essentially, Vegas gave up Edstrom for 2 late second round picks and 6 years of Hertl at 6 mil, or 8 years of Hertl at 6 mil. Like, what?
Yeah,
It's
crazy. It is because it's there was a desperation to get Hertl's contract off the books, mixed with some type of hypnosis from McCrinnon to Greer.
But you and I were talking yesterday about how, well, what are we going to talk about tomorrow? All these deals are done already. And I think I said something along the lines of like, there's always a surprise or two. And there always is. If they were so desperate to get rid of Hertl's contract, which I do understand, a 30-year-old signed to that contract on a team that's rebuilding makes no sense. I'd want to move him too. How come no one was talking about this until 159 today? Like, how does that even happen?
Yes, and especially because you put that out into the media. If you're Mike Greer, you leak that. You say San Jose is looking to shop Hertl at, but they also did mention that Hertl had a no move. So that might have been.
Did he have to sign off on this?
Yeah.
That would change things. That makes it the Hannafin deal. Hannafin didn't have protection. They could have shipped him anyway.
He might have had a team list, a trade protection. I'm not sure.
Like a 10 team, yeah.
Something.
But he didn't have Tarasenko's ability to say, you're sending me to Florida, and that's why the price was what it was on Tarasenko, and good for Stamkos for getting anything for him. Yeah. What this means for Vegas is, so I'm looking at their lineup. So their top line is going to be Barbashev, Eichel, Marchessault. Their second line is going to be presumably Stevenson, Hertl, Mantha in the playoffs. Their third line is going to be Dorofiev, William Karlsson, and Amadio. Oh, my phone is playing an ad on this page. Like, their third line is going to be better than lots of second lines. And then their D is Hannafin, Petrangelo, McNabb, Theodore, Haig, and Whitecloud. Like, get out of here.
Where did you have Hertl in that lineup?
Second line center.
Second line? So third line center is Karlsson?
Yeah. Karlsson.
So it's going to be Stone, Hertl, Mantha, you reckon?
Oh, yeah, and I'm missing Stone. So, yeah, it'll be...
Something's missing here.
Yeah, Stone's missing. So their third line is going to be like Karlsson, Mantha, Nicholas Roy. Their second line will be Stevenson.
That's nice. That's
Hertl,
a heavy
Stone.
lineup. Jesus.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. That's so stupid. I don't even know why we're going to talk about anything else.
And
anyways,
their defense,
the next move I'd like
the Hannafin deal. Hannafin's a good defenseman. Like, don't get me wrong. Like he's only the hoopla because he was the only defenseman, top big name defenseman available, and from Calgary. And there's just been so much chatter about him all year. So, I don't think he moves the needle a ton.
That was a bad trade.
he's been a number 3 defenseman on the Flames who had a pretty decent decor, but he hasn't been able to help them move forward into becoming an upper echelon team. So I don't know, like, and hey,
I don't think that's on him though.
no, it's
Like that's
not. But
not
it's like, but
that's
he's
not
not this
his.
cornerstone player that I feel like he's been made out to be, and you can kind of see it a bit on the return.
No, but you know what? He's one of those guys. He's like Gus Forsling, who just got signed to the best contract, one of the best contracts in hockey. He's the guy who did a lot with the minutes that he got. You know, he faces top competition. He comes out ahead in chances. He has a good goals per 60. He has a like very low penalty rate. His quality of competition in Calgary was 92%. So plays against the best lines and wins. That's a guy, as far as I'm concerned, based on what was available in the D market. And the Flames had the 2 best defensemen available. Good for them. They should have come out with a lot more. Hannafin should have been worth 2 firsts.
Yeah.
You know, like who was comparable to Hannafin?
That's just it.
Forget the fact that he's a UFA.
That's just it. And
You had Tanev.
Yeah, it was just there was no value given to UFAs this year. Maybe because everyone learned a lesson from teams last year that, you know, it's like, yeah, it's just not worth it. Not worth it to give that first, you know, plus. So, yeah.
I mean, as an Oilers fan, gladly would have paid 2 firsts for Noah Hannafin. He would have been the perfect fit for our team. I understand. You know, it's funny. Everyone says division.
For 1
and
year
obviously
of
they're
no
the biggest rival.
Hannafin,
Hell
Yeah.
yeah. Hell yeah. This year? I mean, we just gave a first for Henrique.
Yeah, in
Which fixes
hindsight,
nothing.
yeah. But like, there's not like, I don't think Noah Hannafin's a 2 firsts for 1 playoff run kind of guy. 20 games in 1 playoff run.
I mean, given the contract that he's going to sign with them, what, 8 years, $7 million or something like that. Knowing that, he should have cost Vegas 2 firsts.
It's interesting
For us?
with scenarios like this, with Vegas just owning everybody. I don't get why they got rid of that trade clause, or got rid of the trade clause of if a guy resigns with you. Yeah. I don't understand, because there can be a lot of shenanigans that can go on
based on
with that.
Yeah,
And I wouldn't put it past,
especially when
I would not put it past a team like Vegas to, like, I was thinking about this earlier today. It's like, maybe Tampa was a smokescreen saying, hey, I only want to sign in Tampa.
Oh, here we go.
And Vegas is like working something out with Hannafin and saying like, hey, just say that. And then we'll come in and we'll be like, hey, this is the best we got. He doesn't want to sign with us. He wants to sign in Florida anyways. And then they re-sign him 2 days later.
I mean, it's highly illegal, but maybe it's annoying. If you are dealing
here, like, agents pull shady gray area stuff all the time.
If you're dealing with a team in a state with a lower tax bracket, it should be assumed that the player's going to stay there. Guys go to Florida, Tampa, Vegas, Dallas. They stay. Why wouldn't they stay? They pay 26% tax versus like 54% in Vancouver. Like, come on. It's a no-brainer. Anyways, Vegas, I will say this. It's the last thing I want to say about Vegas. I don't think I'm mad at Vegas. I think I'm mad at my own team for not being Vegas. They've gotten away with it year after year. There's no reason Jack Campbell shouldn't have developed an allergy to his equipment this week.
Did you have a quick therapy session today to come to that conclusion, where it's like, you know, I'm mad at myself for allowing this to happen?
I am. It's not their fault. I've seen some fairly prominent figures with the take of they're not cheating it with Mark Stone. If you think they're cheating it with Mark Stone, your head's up your ass. And I don't agree with that. They're 100% cheating. There's no way 3 years in a row you've got the Kucherovs and the Stones ready for game 1. I'm sorry. There's no way that those guys couldn't have played the last game of the season. You're out of your mind. but they're not getting caught. So other teams should be doing the same thing.
The whole last game of
Plain
the
and simple.
season thing, like, of course you're going to hold a guy out if it's a legitimate injury or anything like that. The thing with Mark Stone and this being a repeatable thing 3 years in a row, and it being Vegas, and just the shenanigans they get up to, you start to question is like, well, did he even rupture his spleen? Like, I want to see, I want to see the incision. Yeah, and I'm not saying that's what happened, but it's like it leads you to start thinking that way when these things happen.
Well, I would love to see what the odds are of a player. Is this the third year or second year in a row? 2 years in a row getting injured and being ready on April, whatever it is, 12th. 2 years in a row. What is the likelihood of that happening?
Well,
Like, if it's legit, what statistically, there's 365 days in a year. So it's already it's a 0.3% chance that he's ready for April 12th based on the amount of days in the year. Like, and with Kucherov, same thing. Like, the guy missed the whole year. You cannot tell me that he played the way he played in those playoffs and couldn't have played a week before. Like, I'm sorry, I don't believe it.
no,
It's at this point, it's like a week before the playoffs start or a week before the end of the regular season. Every player on LTIR on a playoff team should be getting a physical from the league. And if you're ready to play today, you play. And if you don't, you're missing a month.
there's an easier way to do that, but yeah,
Sure.
like we've talked about it. The game, you got to play a game after the trade deadline or final 10 games of the season or something, or you miss a round or you miss 2 rounds or something. There's just or you put the salary cap in place for the playoffs. You would lose out on some action like this for sure. Entertainment. Yeah.
I don't know who's liking this anymore. I don't
No,
know
well,
who's.
that's
I
the
used to
thing.
love the trade deadline.
It's they
I
kind of
wanted
like
to hang myself
they
today.
kind of rub your nose in it a bit. Like right after the
Yeah.
Hannafin deal, oh, Martinez is on the IR now. Oh, he's got a broken foot. You trade for Hurdles, like, oh, he's injured right now, but he'll be back for the playoffs. And it's like, oh, come on, guys, come on, you're not even trying anymore. You're just they kind of remind me of the
forget all
government
this.
that do absurd things, and then they like give you some lame excuse that you buy, and then it's just like, all the stupid people are just going to buy this, and I'm just going to sit here and just be pissed off.
There's a much easier way to fix this. We don't even need a new rule. Here's what has to happen. 1 or 2 Canadian teams have to try and pull this next year. That'll fix it. That'll be the end of LTIR going. The Maple Leafs try and pull this? Forget it.
I'm surprised.
Forget it.
Don't.
I don't know why that. Well, and that's like I say. I am pissed at Vegas for sure. I am. However, it comes from doing something that my team doesn't have the balls to do. And I said the same thing about Connor Brown. If Connor Brown signed the contract that he signed this year with Vegas, you bet your ass he's not playing 10 games. He is not playing.
Yeah, it's more
games.
of the whole body
of
work with Vegas. That's so shrewd and so great with it because it's. Like I wouldn't love my team pulling these shenanigans. Sure, you would kind of snicker to yourself.
Sure, you would. Sure, you would.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you got
you're going into the playoffs with $110 million salary team, and you're saying you're not happy about it? You'd love it.
Yeah, I don't know.
You might be doing it this year with Landeskog.
I think it just lacks integrity when it comes to it. Yeah.
Well, I don't see an asterisk on the cup. So, whatever. Anyways,
yeah.
The other deal that really surprised me today, I don't know about you, Evgeny Kuznetsov to Carolina. Now, it is. All you had to do was look at Carolina's projected lineup with Jake Gensel and see that he was going to be playing with Jack Drury or Jordan Stahl or Jesper Kotkaniemi to know they needed a center. Who knew it was going to be Kuznetsov?
Yeah. We knew like it would be a Hail Mary that he'd get traded, and it would be at 50%. I think those would be automatics. I'm surprised that Carolina took him for the 2 years. His buyout's the same as his cap hit. But I guess they would get it at
That makes sense.
50% if they bought him out next year. So it would be, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Not a big deal. We'll see. We'll see.
Great move for Carolina because, as we said, now Jake Gensel and Jarvis or Svechnikov or whoever they're putting on that second line right wing, they have a center to play with who's better than Jack Drury. And Kuznetsov has something to prove. This is his second time through the league program. I know he was punished once for it. I don't know if he went to the program the first time, but this is like he's on his third strike. He has every reason to try. Orlov is a good friend of his, so it's a good mix in that sense. Great move for them. They are my pick in the East.
You got Rod the Bod.
Florida. Yeah, Florida.
Rod won't put up with any nonsense from him either. So
Rod won't, no.
So it's
you're playing. You're doing it.
But it depends because it's, from all accounts, he has not played well the last 2 seasons. His stats, he's back been up terrible. How bad he's looked out there. So maybe a kick in the butt helps a guy, but sometimes the hands are probably still there. The wheels, who knows? But we'll see. We'll see how that one fits. But yeah, if it's like Netchus, Gensel, and Kuznetsov, that's a nice second line if everyone's going.
I'm trying to remember the player's name. There was a Russian interview with someone who played on the Capitals when they won the cup, and he said that he was on it 80% of the playoffs when they won it. Who was that? I can't remember who the player was. I'm totally drawing a blank here. It was like a real depth guy. In any event, he said he was the whole playoffs when they won. So nowhere to go but up. We'll see where it goes. I'm cheering for him. I like these stories of guys.
Can you imagine?
It up, but it is a scary.
Can you imagine? Welcome to the NHL, where these guys are on so much natural talent. They could just be on snow the whole playoffs on a cup run.
Well, let's not pretend the 80s didn't happen.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, so welcome to the NHL.
Yeah. Here you go, buddy. Anyways, I think we should do an episode about this sometime, but I think there's a line somewhere between doing a lot of coke and being okay to play, and then when the addiction really hits is when your game will actually get affected. Because if you're just partying after games, you're probably okay. You're probably fine. Coke comes out of your system pretty quick, but once you're in withdrawal at puck drop, you got a problem.
Yeah.
You have a problem before that, but now your numbers are going to suffer. So, anyways, next trade I want to talk about. What are some of the other trades? Zucker went for dirt cheap, 6th round pick. The Roslovic deal I like for New York a lot for a 4th. That's great. How does that impact anyone in New York? Well, he'll be the 3C. So that means what? He's playing with like Kako?
Yeah, and he's not an offensive wizard by any means. So he'll be that'll bump.
It's still a good move. Oh no, he'll be their 4th line. They got Wenberg too.
Well, yeah, I guess Wenberg, and then I guess Barclay will be.
Barclay will probably push.
He might
so
push.
The 4th line
Edstrom
currently
down.
would be Vesey. Their 4th line currently. They've got Roslovic slide in the top line here. There you go. Anyways, that's a great pickup at that price. Another very nice deal for the buyer. Wow, there are a lot of trades today, man. New Jersey, how funny was that?
Which part?
Getting Allen and Kakinen after a year of struggling goaltenders. You go out and your move is, first of all, I don't hate it. I don't know why they didn't do this a month ago. It's a Hail Mary, but like, why wouldn't you do a Hail Mary a month ago when the cost was a conditional pick for Allen? So the deal with this is it's a 3rd that becomes a 2nd if he plays 40 games. If he plays 40 games, it means he's their number 1. So great, good for you. And then the other one was Vanacek, who has a year left, and a 7th for Kakinen. Like, Guys throwing paint at the wall, but like it's better than what it can't be worse than what they had. Good for them. Why didn't they do it a month ago?
Because they had a deal for Markstrom a month ago, and then they were just left with what? When we're not doing this now? Like, yeah, no.
But even the Markstrom deal, that was only a couple weeks ago.
Was it?
Like that was too little, too late
Yeah.
as well.
That seems like ages ago, but yeah,
Interesting deals. I like it. I like it for Jersey. I hope I would really like to see them in the playoffs. If they made it, they would be the last team I'd want to face as a 7th or 8th seed. So
with
we'll
those
see what happens
goals,
there.
though, fuck.
Yeah, no, that's very true. To Foley for a 2nd round pick and a 3rd round pick. The bigger news here.
I think that's a fair return for Toffoli. 2nd and 3rd, yeah.
Retained?
I don't think retention kind of comes with deals at this time of the year. It's very little cash, and just the way the accounting works with the cap, it's if you're not retaining on someone and making a decent trade, then you're not getting decent value.
The trade tree on Stankoven now gets pretty ugly for New Jersey. And New Jersey generally is on the winning side of deals like this, but now it's like they moved Stankoven and got, I think it breaks down to like Winnipeg's 2nd rounder is what they got for Stankoven once it all plays out. So that's not great.
But Stankoven was pushed down their lineup too. Yeah,
for sure. That's a great example of a guy you want to pluck in a deal because he's never going to bump the guys in the top 6 ahead of him.
It's one of those interesting things when you look at, because I live in Calgary, so I listen to Sports Talk Calgary here, and you start to wonder, it's like, because you look at Stankoven, and he's played awesome this year, and then you hear about some of these guys that they're trading for. Then okay, well like maybe their pro scouts are onto a thing or two here, so just kind of ride it out and see, and,
in Calgary.
Yeah, see,
how do you like Miramano?
We'll see. I don't know. Like I've liked some of the things that I've seen when he was in Vegas, like when he played in Vegas.
I had him. I think 2 years.
So did I. Yeah.
I claimed him as soon as he got called up. I was like, he's an all-star defenseman in the AHL. Why wouldn't I take a flyer here? Never stuck. The kid's got all the friggin' confidence in the world. You see that quote? He's gonna be the best defenseman in the NHL
in a couple of years. So it's we'll see. Well, it'll be interesting to see because you're getting these guys who are like cusp players in the A. Obviously, some guys that they kind of identified who they think could break out, and with Stankoven breaking out and being like, well, maybe the pro scouts can identify some things here, and like, the thing with Calgary is they don't really have a lot of great stay-at-home defensemen anymore. So
Calgary doesn't have any defensemen anymore. They got Anderson and Uyghur and what?
That's it, and Miramano. Like those are your 3.
Okay, don't add Miramano me.
I have a feeling
30 NHL
I have a feeling
games.
He's going to step in and he's going to pull some shit.
Hunter Brustowitz is going to be their top pairing D next year as a rookie. It's going to be ridiculous.
Well, frankly, I think it's Calgary's depth on D the last few years, which has stopped them from bottoming out.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. It certainly hasn't been their offense. Yeah. They've been a very good defensive team. And they're, I'll give it to them. They have a heart per 60 that is off the charts. Often.
Yeah. They're scoring lately.
All right, let's get into it.
I hope.
Let's get into the big
last thing. I hope the Flames can catch Vegas here. That would be hilarious.
Hey, at this point, I will send a bouquet of 100 roses to the team that bumps Vegas from the playoffs. As it stands, I think there's 4 teams that are 6 points behind them. Let's see here. In the West, we are looking at Vegas has 73 points. Flames, Kraken, Blues all have 67 points. Wild have 66. Vegas has played 63 games. Those teams have played 62 or 63 games. So it's not
Well, look at the last 10
looking
records.
good. But
Two.
well, Vegas has
Yeah,
been
they're like
falling.
2-8.
Vegas has been.
Flames are rolling.
I will give you that 2-7-1. So yeah. Whereas, here's the record of the teams behind them. Calgary 6-4-0. Kraken are 7-2-1. Blues are 3-6-1, and the Wild are 5-4-1. So it's not like it's beating down the door.
No.
Unfortunately,
I think it's all pretty locked there in the West.
It's as locked as it can be at this point in the season, but that's not to say miracles don't happen. Speaking of miracles happening, let's talk about a hockey trade that happened yesterday. Ruffled some feathers. We got just the guy to have this conversation with. I am talking Casey Middlestat for Bowen Byram. I love deals like this. I love them so much. And even though all the advanced stats pointed to you guys absolutely crushing this deal, I think it is a very fair deal that it's going to be tough to say who wins. What do you got to say over there, Mr. Avalanche?
Oh, I agree. I think at the end of the day, you won't be able to say who wins necessarily. Best case scenario, because it solves a problem for both teams. Like Colorado was looking to fill that second line center role since Kadri left. They had a surplus of defensemen, and they were able to essentially replace Byram with a possibly a more polished, better version of Byram for this season, and then open up cap space and also trade Byram for a second line center. Middlestat, we'll see how he fits. I think he's a bigger question mark with fit necessarily than Byram will be in Buffalo for me. I worry. Like my initial reaction was I worried that his pace of play won't mesh 100% with the Avs, especially right out of the gate. Guy's got great hands, a really good shot actually, and is a great playmaker. So you find the right chemistry. I think he's got to play with Nichushkin, and then hopefully that works. And then Byram looks like they're playing him with Dahlin, top pair in Buffalo. And if you watch some of the game last night, Dahlin just kind of stayed at the top of the power play, and Byram was just roving all over the place. So
he ran into two Sabres.
Yeah, it was just kind of like he was like a dog that was like let off his leash and just was able to run all throughout the park.
I wouldn't know what to do with the car if I caught it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and if he's able to, unlock some of that offense there in Buffalo, and if he can work on that top pair with Dahlin, man, that'll work out really nice for them. So
yeah. I agree. And it's what's the contract he signed? I know it's a great contract. It's short though, right?
He's got next year at
3.5,
like 3.6 or something, 3.7, something like that.
It's just next year though.
Yeah, it was a 2-year deal.
Okay.
3 something each year. So he's got just next year, and then with him being an Avalanche fan, you were always kind of like a little cautious every step of the way with him just because of his injuries. So you never really fully invested in him because he's just one hit away. Even when it came to like signing a long-term contract, you'd be like, oh man, it's like, and you hate it.
Was he the best defenseman when you won the cup in the finals?
Hard to say. He was great. But with a team with having Makar,
I saw a lot of Avs fans saying he was our best defenseman.
Yeah, I don't fully recall that. I think just that whole decor was so awesome in the finals and that whole playoff run that it's hard to say like when you have Makar on there, but yeah, he was great. He was He definitely helped us win the cup.
Couple more minor. Yeah, definitely. And then, got completely shunned by one of the guards at the parade. So that was,
He's
that's a
on the
forever
team.
memory.
I'm literally on the team. Yeah, nice life as a 19-year-old.
Couple more deals to go
It's
through.
cool. One last thing. It's cool though that he's buddies with like a bunch of the Sabres too.
Krebs and
Cousins,
Cousins
yeah.
and
So
him are
it's
all like
yeah,
lifelong
they
buddies.
played
Yeah.
minor hockey together. So that's a really neat story. That makes the sting of going from Colorado to Buffalo a little less for him.
I don't know how much sting that is for him. To be honest, if I'm Bowen Byram, I absolutely love this trade for me because it wasn't going to happen for me in Colorado. I was never going to make as much money as I could make. I was never going to be the guy, which isn't to say he'll be the guy in Buffalo because I don't think he will. But Colorado showed second pairings as high as you get. You're not getting top PP.
Yeah.
The end. In Buffalo, we saw him on PP1. Buffalo's an up and coming team. He has a good chance to go and, assuming he can stay healthy, become what Colorado hoped he would have become before he got completely blocked by Taves and McCarr.
He could become Buffalo's Taves, right? Like the
Yes.
Colorado's investment in Taves to be McCarr's partner for the next 7 years was probably a big shot to him, being like, shit,
Writings on the
like
wall.
I'm
Yeah.
now they're telling me where I sit on the pecking order. So it's on paper when you first look at it, you're like, he's not in a better position, but if he's going to be playing, if they're going to stack up that top D pair, which they can now with both of them, that's and offense pushing from the blue line up for Buffalo will help with all those speedy young forwards too.
Yeah. It's a great trade for Buffalo. I adore the trade for Buffalo. I really like it for you guys. I do fear value wise Byram certainly has a higher ceiling for value than Middlestat does. But the injuries and you guys going for the cup this year, needing that second line seat, it makes a lot of sense. I just think that if this was a startup draft, Bowen Byram goes a lot earlier than Casey Middlestat.
Yes.
Couple more deals to talk about, and then I just want to make some picks with you. Duclair went for a 7th. No, sorry. Duclair and a 7th went for Jack Thompson and a 3rd. That's a great deal for Tampa. And then the Gensel trade. So, being that we are a prospect sort of podcast, this deal, I was underwhelmed. I think that Michael Bunting is one of the hockey players of all time. Billy Koivunen is a intriguing prospect. I'll give him that. Ponomarev is maybe something there, and Cruz Lucius has done well in the NCAA. If I'm Penguins fans, I would have sooner seen a Scott Morrow come back and those guys not come back than getting these sort of they might, and to me all these guys are they might conditional first. Sure, they got to make the cup final to get that. It didn't feel like enough to me for the best player at the deadline.
I think they might is being a little bit you're being nice there. None of those prospects do it for me. The fact that there was 3 of them.
I don't know that there's a top 6 player there. I'll say that
because I do
there's a top 6
follow
player.
offensive prospects more for fantasy reasons and just out of pure enjoyment. So not many. Neither of these guys are really actually. If I'm honest, none of them are on my radar at all. So
yeah, so Billy Koivunen just had one of the best U21 seasons. He looks like a player, but probably 3rd line player is where he pans out. I like Lucius. I've seen a lot. I like him. I don't know how well he's going to translate to the NHL. And then Ponomarev is, I don't watch a ton of him. I haven't seen a lot of him, but I like Dorofiev is the Russian player that I like. Ponomarov, I think I've seen one or two games of his. He did not stand out. So yeah, I don't know how they got nothing of high value. I understand the copium of Carolina's 6, 7, 8 best prospects become our 3, 4, 5. Sure. Like that isn't a selling point for me. You're just telling me your system is empty, which it
There
is.
is no
Pittsburgh
selling
system
this
is
trade.
empty.
This is
Yeah.
Dubas. Probably when he did it, he was like, "Fuck, that, that's the best I got. It's the best I can get at this point." So I don't know if he.
Yeah, there's a lot of players. When I look, this is the deal I think teams should be most upset that their team didn't make. Conditional first based on a cup final. You're happy to pay that. And
The odds of
like,
making the Cup final.
like what? Yeah, that was a bad deal. Good for Carolina. And then Hannafin to Vegas, we talked about. Here's what I'd like to discuss with you now. Who won the trade deadline? This will be a very short conversation. Give me two teams that won the trade deadline.
Mm,
Two.
well, you can't argue with the firepower that Vegas put up. That's for sure. Um,
Yep.
all the way. They got what's Hurdle maxed out at? He's scored 40 in this league, right?
Yeah, I think he scored 42 years
Yeah.
ago.
Like he's not
Uh,
quite. I don't think he's the player he was when he signed that contract. But who knows? It's been
Sorry, his career high is
35.
35. He had 63 points in 79 games 2 years ago. He's got 34 points in 48 games this year. He's minus 62 in the last
Jesus.
2 years.
But he's not an $8 million
But
hockey player.
he had
So
30
that
30 the year
contract was
before.
awful to begin with. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, Vegas. But again, like they're wise to hang on to their first this year because they are not a lock to make the playoffs. Um, but and then I gotta say, my Avs, like Winnipeg did great. Yeah,
Winnipeg did very
Winnipeg had
good.
a really nice.
Carolina? It's not Carolina?
Yeah, Carolina added a piece, but it's like Colorado for me. Their team building was the most successful on here. They filled all their holes. They barely lost. They have so much depth in the bottom six now, and that was one of the biggest issues was the bottom six scoring. And not like they got a lot of scores down there, but they have that.
Kovalenko's
Yeah,
coming.
Kovalenko,
Kovalenko's coming in the next couple of
Logan
weeks.
O'Connor's having a great year. Uh,
Colton bumps down
yeah,
to third
Colton's
line
third line
center.
center. You have Wood on the wing there, so you got a lot of speed. That third line's great. Um, that's your classic like Stanley Cup playoffs third line, and then their fourth line is just going to be like a mix of Parise, Kovalenko, Durmi, or however you pronounce his name. We got from Minnesota there.
Yeah, at the last second you
Duharme,
picked
yeah,
up Dewar.
yeah,
Sorry, no, that was
yeah.
Toronto. Who did you get? You got the Minnesota guy.
Dude, yeah. I've only read it. I haven't watched too many Wild games.
Durheim?
Durheim, and Trennan. So it's their depth in the bottom six
Oh, that's right. You got Trennan
is
too.
fantastic.
Yeah, you guys did well.
Really well. Our
You guys did
defense
well.
is looking as solid as ever. Goaltending is suspect, but that second line center, if Middlestat pans out, man, that'd be great. Last time we had a second line center, we won the cup. So,
Well,
I'm just saying.
last time you had a second line center who scored 100 points, you won the cup. Kadri was not a non-factor.
I'm not saying he wasn't, but it was like that we had depth in top six.
Middlestat ain't Kadri of 3 years ago. I think Carolina. I'll take Carolina as my number two. winner of the deadline. You guys would be my 3, and then Winnipeg would be my 4. The reason I say that, much like your argument, the only thing that's kept Carolina out of the Cup Finals the last couple of years has been clutch scoring, and they added one of the better clutch scoring wingers around in the last 10 years in the playoffs. Certainly the best one available now. And Kuznetsov is a hell of a swing. I mean, worst case, they're rolling the same 4 centers they got now, but they got a chance to be better than that. So here's my next question. Top 2 teams in the West, top 2 teams in the East. Who's making it to the Cup?
So you got to think of it. So you got to break it down in the divisions, because like initially I would look at,
Well, not necessarily. If you want to say Vegas and Vancouver, because you think whoever wins the Pacific is coming out of it. They could be a
wild card. Oh, so 2 top teams that could win the Cup.
Like if you had to pick 4 teams to make the Stanley Cup Finals this year, who would those 4 teams be? Give me 2 from each side.
I'll go with.
I'm not saying for like a hockey pool. For a hockey pool, obviously you would take.
I got you.
Dallas.
Yeah, you're not saying you Western Conference Finals. That's fine. I'll take Dallas and Colorado, and
I will take Dallas and Vegas.
I'm gonna go. You got to go with the Panthers. I was gonna say the Bruins, but you gotta go Panthers, and then who's the other team? Who do you got as one team over there?
Panthers, Canes.
I don't know if the Canes.
The Canes to me have,
but that might be something that comes to bite them this year.
I think Coach Devil, this is going to be the emergence for him. This is going to be it. No looking back.
Yeah, I'll go Panthers, Canes. Yeah, Red Wings. No.
Rags? You like the Rags?
Rangers. Man, it'd be awesome if Torts took Philly to the Cup final.
You know, if you're in a playoff pool, I love teams like that.
Yeah.
I love taking teams no one else has taken, because you're going to go a long way. Chris Tanev just scored for Dallas. Yeah, it's a team like that where even if they make the second round, no one else had any Flyers in your playoff pool.
I'm going to go Homer and Bruins with it. Yeah.
Bruins. There it is. All right. One last thing I want to discuss.
Wait. Chris Tanev just scored?
Oh. Chris Tanev just scored. We wouldn't be a Dynasty podcast if we didn't discuss Logan Stankoven for the 10 millionth time.
We're forming a support group.
What side do we
need a support group.
Do we talk about how amazing he is, or do we talk about how we both kind of, what's it called when you balance your bet? We hedged our bet on Stankoven's size. So you traded Logan Stankoven for Mintyukov because you had Zellweger.
Straight up. Yeah, I wanted guaranteed.
I supported that trade. That was at the start of the year.
It's still not a bad trade.
About a month ago. Well, it probably is, though.
Yeah, elite forwards are harder to come by than good defensemen.
I traded him at the deadline in my rebuild for Kulich, a 25th overall and a 36th overall pick in a 32-team league.
See, that one? So was that still a size thing? Because when was that? Was that this year?
That was a month ago.
Yeah, that one is strange for me to hear that you would do. Just because you knew what he's doing in the A, and you knew it was going to translate to Dallas. So was it the depth too in Dallas that still scared you a bit?
It's the depth. It was the depth. It wasn't a slight against Stankoven.
Yeah.
But
Buffalo's a depth issue too, right?
Man crush on Kulich. I had just traded Kulich in an all-in move in my other league. I'm one of those guys, I like to have stock in players somewhere. And Coolidge wasn't a guy I was comfortable having no stock in. And in a 32 team league, a first and a high second is a very juicy price to put on, going from the 30th best prospect to the 13th best prospect. That worked for me. Is ultimately what it was. I like Coolidge a lot. I still like Coolidge a lot. I think Stankoven could be, I mean, he's looking like he's going to be a 40-40. I still think Coolidge can be a 30-30. And I think the middle stat deal probably means he's in Buffalo next year. I don't know that I've lost that trade yet, but man, it is hard to watch Stankoven. I watched the 9-point Johnston Stankoven third period, and I was just like, Jesus. Like, he's open all the time.
He knows where to go.
I mean, they're playing San Jose.
He has that sense of like being able to read plays, know where to be at that level.
He's a very
like 6
smart
games
player.
in, man. Wow. Yeah, Dallas.
Yeah, that
Dallas. That's they should be trading all their firsts.
What do you add? What do you add?
Take it all, whatever. What do you want? Yeah.
I mean, I would have liked to have seen them got Hannafin. I would have liked to have seen them get Hannafin just because. But their top 9 is the best in hockey. Even with Vegas looking like Vegas looks now, I take Dallas's top 9. That third line looks unbelievable. So in that game against San Jose, they scored 3 goals in 2.5 minutes. In overtime, they started with Hintz and Robertson and Heiskanen. They went off after a minute, and out came Johnston and Stankoven. And Stankoven's 6th game. Yeah. Oh, no, sorry. It was Duchesne. It was Duchesne and Robertson started. And they put out Stankoven and Johnston next, not Hintz. So it was quite the vote of confidence. Stankoven was robbed of the hat-trick game winner. He was robbed again in that shift, and then he made the game-winning assist over to Hintz. So it was...
Well, and we've talked about this before, and we just applaud Dallas's how they work their cap. Is like when those guys are going to be due to get paid, Sagan and Ben come off the books. It's like the perfect transition. You could almost go dollar in, dollar out and still be sitting there with tons of cap space. So,
tons of cap space. The only thing Dallas needs, so Harley and Heiskanen, I love both those players. They need another impact top 4 D-man. And that will be good for them this year. He's too old to be core going forward. So that's why a Hannafin would have been absolutely perfect for that team. But, bygones. But anyways, Logan Stankoven, if your deadline hasn't passed in your league, go get him if you can. I mean, so I don't remember. Where did we have him in our list? Do you know?
Good question.
He was... Oh, you know what? I have it. I have it handy. A friend of mine was asking for a teardown list. Let's see here. We had Logan Stankoven at...
I'm going to say
21.
Yeah. And even then, we were still like, yeah, but the size,
If he hits... I would say this about our take on Stankoven. If he was going to hit, he would have been top 10. If he was 3 inches taller, he would have been top 10. This was a mitigating the size.
And we were also worried a bit about the dub factor, too. A bit. We knew as a player, but we were worried that the dub was just something funny going on with scoring in the dub. But
yeah, I mean, even looking at the guys who we have ahead of him now, like we have here's the forwards, okay? Benson, Cutter, Leonard, Nazar, Eklund. Those are the guys. I wouldn't put him above like Will Smith and Logan Cooley quite yet. He's probably ahead of all those guys right now.
Yes. Yeah.
In a 1-for-1 deal, I'd probably trade any of those guys for him right now. But in a year, we might feel very differently. Cutter in Anaheim is going to go off. If Nazar is Bedard's running mate, he's great. Eklund, Eklund probably should be lower. And then Leonard just has no one to play with ever in Washington, so he gets the drop on us. But all right. Well, happy trade deadline, everyone. I hope you're not as sad as I am. I'm just so sad. I'm so sad about my stupid team. I hope one of us beats Vegas, man.
Losing to Vegas sucks.
Losing to Vegas sucks. Have you lost?
Yeah, they
to
bounced
Vegas?
us on the year that we were President's Trophy winner. The year before we won the Cup.
That's right.
Yeah. Grubauer.
Yeah, losing to Vegas. Shit, man.
Stupid pen. Oh no, it was
All right.
It was a stupid play by Ryan Graves. That's what it was. Stupid, shooting into shin pads. Fucking guy. Yeah. And then Stone, I think, scored a breakaway.
Remember that
to kill us.
That's a Mark Stone play. I don't know how many shows we have left this season, buddy. We've got most hockey leagues are starting their playoffs.
Yeah, we won't really have anything too relevant. Maybe we'll jump on and just talk about some Frozen Four action. Just talk about prospect stuff.
Maybe a playoff pool.
I'd like to jump into Frozen Four. It's gonna be a fun college year.
It is going to be a fun college, and plus the Mem Cup. We should do a Mem Cup Frozen Four recap at the least. Maybe we'll do more than that.
The thing about the Frozen Four versus the Mem Cup is you have a more concentrated, at least lately, of elite top end prospects. Mem Cup is usually the teams that just it's not really a prospect driven tournament traditionally.
Until you get a team like Windsor, stuff playing, and last year the Mem Cup was Seattle and Kelowna.
It was Seattle and Kamloops. It was in Kamloops.
Sorry, Kamloops. I always call Kamloops Kelowna. Like what a crazy stack of prospects that was at the time. If Bedard could have been involved somehow, too bad. Anyways, we'll talk. Good luck to all you guys going for your fantasy titles. I am starting my playoffs.
Congratulations,
number one seed in 2 leagues.
Ryan's about to.
Oh yeah, thank you.
He's about to. It's pretty much in the books. He's gonna.
I won $1,000 this week. I've got potential to win another 1,500.
He won the regular season crowns
over the next. I don't know if I've won the regular season crown in that league either. This might be the first time. I know I've won the playoffs 3 times, but this year was, I could talk about this team, man. It was such an interesting year because all year it was I'm not going all in because this is the opening of my window and I've got a 6-year window. But then the more I looked at it, I was like, I've got contracts coming up, man. Like in 2 years, Moritz Seider gets an $8 million raise. Like, why wouldn't I be all in right now when I get Moritz Seider for 1.5 mil? Like, it doesn't make sense. So I ended up pushing all in, selling a lot of guys, including who all did I sell? I sold Kulich, I sold Fantilli, I sold Brandt Clark, all guys I absolutely love, and it killed. Oh, I sold Joshua Roy. I sold just a lot of players I really, really like. But my team is about as stacked as you can be for a team that's missing $10 million from its tanking buyout still. So, what do you do? We'll see where it goes. Wish me luck. Here's hoping. I know you're cheering for me.
I'd also like to congratulate myself for making the Lotto Bowl here too. So, bottom 3 team in the Celebrini Wars.
Is that a thing we congratulate for?
I mean, it took some effort.
I guess
it took some accounting.
It took some effort. Effort. Is that what we're calling this? Is that what we're calling leaving guys on the IR for a month when they're not?
It wasn't a month. It was William Karlsson.
A couple weeks.
Month.
He's your best player.
He is.
He is.
And I don't want to jinx myself. I'm liking my odds in the Lotto Wars.
You're gonna win it. No, you're gonna
come down to Vancouver. I could
get goalie. You're beating.
I could get goalie. So, all right.
Yeah, you got Bobrovsky. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna get Celebrini. I am in a league, so I'm in 5 leagues. I'm in 5 leagues. I'm in the Fantasy Hockey Hacks Listener League, which I haven't looked at in months. but I'm still beating Devin Davidson, the originator and founder of the Fantasy Hockey Hacks network we exist on. So, Dev, I'm coming for your Twitter password here pretty soon, buddy. 2 of my leagues, first place. The other 2 I'm rebuilding. And my 32 team league, same as yours, same as this one. I have to win a lottery. So I think I've told you this. I had like 6 top 7 picks 2 months ago. And I moved some. I got Kel McCarr. I wanted to start loading up for the Lottery Bowl. And I thought I was so smart that I was going to be keeping my top 2 picks. I put protection on the picks to make sure it was the top 2 picks. It's the top 2 picks. Well, the other pick that I kept, this guy, he's got the worst team in the league. He is miraculously winning his way out of the bottom 4 to the point where right now, as we speak, he is tied for 4th last. If he wins this week against the other guy he's tied with in total points, his pick now, the best it can be is 5th. The lowest it can be is 8th. And the condition I put on all those picks to swap them back was I can swap any pick I want with you as long as it's top 6 pick. So if he wins this week and then loses out next week, it'll be like an 8th overall pick, and I'll have 1st and 8th instead of the 1st and 2nd. So I might have played myself. So
That's really confusing.
We'll see how it goes. But if it goes my way, I'm a genius. If it doesn't, I still get 1st overall. So we'll see how it goes. But good luck to you in your hunt for
Thank
1st
you.
overall. Good luck to me in my hunt for 1st overall, as well as some money.
Almost say, I know Celebrini's the prize, but man, Demidov is tempting.
That is a conversation for our draft show.
This is true.
Fun talking to you, buddy. Good luck to all you fantasy playoff people out there. We wish you all the best. We hope we helped a little bit, or at least were fun to listen to this year. See you later.
Happy weekend, y'all.
What do we say? Happy weekend, y'all.